Chicago Cops and Fishland. Branka Zarovsky and her partner, Leka Antic, were two Chicago cops, sitting in their cruiser on an uneventful night, when suddenly 4 fish in a car drove past them. They couldn't believe their eyes, but they took off after the car in a high-speed pursuit, when magically a circle opened up in front of both cars, and the car with the fish went right through the circle. Branka tried as best he could to stop the car prior to entering the circle, but she couldn't. As she and Leica were following so closely behind and traveling so fast that they just drove straight into it. Once on the other side, the car with the fish never slowed down, and they were soon out of sight as Branka slowed the cruiser and it came to a stop. And she and Leka scratched their heads and wondered what the heck was going on here. So they got out of the car and stood outside and looked around. This wasn't the city of Chicago. Where are the buildings? This place looked like it was in the middle of Nowheresville. Chicago doesn't look like this, so they got back in the cruiser and tried backing up, but no circle appeared. Then they drove forward a good distance and then made a U-turn and tried to drive quick as possible straight towards where the circle had been, but again it failed to open. We have got to find that car with the fish in it, and hopefully we can convince them to show us the way back to Chicago. Sounds good, said Leka. The sergeant's going to kill us, said Leka, who was visibly nervous. Branka rolled her eyes at Leka. The sergeant is the least of our worries. Where are we? What the heck happened to us? And how are we going to get home? Those are the questions we need answers to. They drove until they came to the parking lot of a honky-tonk bar and thought they recognized one of the cars as being the car they had chased. They thought that it might be the car with the fish that they chased. They walked inside the honky-tonk, and the place was a hoppin' with lobsters, squid, eels, and behind the bar was a bird dressed up in a tuxedo who said her name was Penguin. Welcome, what will it be, friends? Branka pulled out a 20 and said, is this money good here? The Penguin responded and said, I ain't never seen money like that before. What town did you say you hail from? Branka said, Chicago. Chicago? Said the Penguin. What kind of fish are you? We're human. We're police officers, said Branka. Say what? The Penguin looked mystified. We're cops, said Leka. Jesus, suddenly you could hear a pin drop. Hey, man, the sharks run this place, said the Penguin. Cops aren't welcome on this side of the city. What? Well, said Branka, could you tell me if 4 fish came running through here 10 or 20 minutes ago? Yikes, stuttered the Penguin. First you go where you're not welcome, and now you're asking about the Lamprey brothers. They're killers. You're either as green as they come, or else you're not real copperheads. No, not copperheads, said Branka. I said we were cops. Cops? What's a cop? said the Penguin. We're a force for good, drawn from the community. We take an oath to serve and protect the community and to uphold the law. Yes, said Leka. As police officers, we take an oath to serve the community. Oh, said the Penguin. Like the sharks on this side of the city and the copperheads on the west side. No, not like the gangs, said Branka. The only oath the gangs take is to serve and protect themselves. We take an oath to serve and protect the community. Not ourselves, said Branka. That's why we're the good guys, said Leka. The gangs are only in it for themselves. They have no grander purpose or vision in what they do. It's not to help the community with those guys. They're just in it for themselves. Yeah, said Branka. With gang members, it's just what's in it for me. That's all they're interested in. Um, um, we serve and protect and keep the community safe, said Lecca. Safe? Said the penguin. Yes. Well, I warned you, said the penguin. It's little Donnie. Lecca turned around and looked at the shark that had just walked into the bar, and then looked at Branca. She said, I must be dreaming. The shark cut into the conversation and said, No, this ain't no dream, sweetheart. What brings you two to Moscow Lounge? What are you two copperheads doing in our territory anyhow? They're not copperheads, said the penguin. There's something else. They said they were cops. Cops? Said Donnie, suddenly nervous. And where did you say yous were from? Chicago, said Lecca. And suddenly the lights in the club went out. Then just as suddenly Branca and Lecca lights went out also. When Branca and Lecca came to, they were tied up in the beer cellar of the honky-tonk. They could hear music playing upstairs and see dust falling from the ceiling of the cellar as the folks danced above them. A floodlight was pointed at them. They could hear little Donnie, the shark. He was talking to someone. I'm sorry, Dad. I gave you a job to do, said the other voice. This never should have happened. It was a simple job. I thought the Lamprey brothers could handle it, said little Donnie. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Whack! They could hear what sounded like someone had just gotten slapped off the side of their head. I thought, now I've got to handle it, said a deeper voice. Look, said Branca, we don't want no trouble. We just want to go back to Chicago, that's all, no trouble. How do you two dimwits know about Chicago? Said Big Donnie. That's where we're from, said Lecca. We just want to get back there, that's all. Well, we might be able to assist yous in that, said Big Donnie. You see, a while back we found a machine that allows us to jump back and forth between here and Chicago. Seems some mobsters from over there came here a while back with it. They needed a place to hide out till the coast was clear. They were being chased by a bunch of cops. They were a bunch of gangsters from Al Capone's outfit back in Chicago, and somehow they got their hands on this machine and they used it to hide out here in Fishville. Al Capone? That was 100 years ago, said Lecca. What, are you crazy? Said Big Donnie. At first, we were frightened by them, but we watched them real good. We studied how they talked and walked and how they did things. Man, they were real bad guys. Sidney the Copperhead and I, well, they used us to keep the peace for them. We kept everybody else in line. Now that they're gone, we have kept the way they organize things going, is all. Not because we're like them, you understand. It's just to keep the peace. Where did they go? Asked Lecca. Oh, well, said Big Donnie. A piece of their machine that allows them to jump back and forth between their world and ours, it went missing. They were all frightened that they were going to be trapped over on this side forever. They couldn't take it, so they turned on each other, and bullets started flying. Words were exchanged, and when it was all said and done, it got real ugly real fast, and after the smoke had cleared, they were all belly up. The entire gang was gone to the great syndicate in the sky. Sidney and I were left to pick up the pieces. We worked together for a while, keeping things running smooth. But then we had sort of a falling out, a disagreement. So we formed our own gangs, and it was better that way. And by taking over, we did a public service. And what do you know? Turns out I had that missing piece of their machine all this time. It must have fallen into my pocket somehow. Just then old Crabby yelled downstairs, Big Donnie, the copperheads are outside. "What?" said Big Donnie, as he and his son hustled outside to face their enemy, leaving Branka and Lika alone. So Branka and Lika moved their chairs a little so they were facing each other now as they talked. "We've got to get out of here, Branka." Branka took control and said, "What we got to do is get that machine. And when we get back home, we'll smash it into 1,000 pieces." "Yeah, sounds good," said Lika. Just then the Penguin snuck in through a hidden door. "You guys have got to get out of here now," as the Penguin cut the ropes binding them to their chairs. "Come with me." As soon as they were outside in the car driving away, "We're the Young Turk, we're the Young Fish. We're a rebel we're a rebel movement. We're trying to overthrow. We're trying to overthrow Big Donnie and Sydney the Copperhead and their entire system of gangs, and go back to the way things used to be before the gangs took over. I liked what you said about cops being a force of good in the community and take an oath to serve and protect the community. I think the others will like what you've got to say, too. So I'm bringing you to our meeting. Laura the Trout, Vanessa the Perch, and Wilma the Whitefish, and a few others were all gathered in the back room of the store. "Hi, everyone," said the Penguin. "These are 2 police officers from Chicago, and they have come to talk to us about a better way. I am Branka Zarorowski, and I am her partner, Leka Antic." From humble beginnings, a new voice of hope arose in the community, as Fishland would never be the same. Thank you very much. The end.